everyone, and welcome to the July edition of the Lipedema Patient Roundtable. We are so stoked because we've got so much content for you tonight. Experts in the field. We have special guests, including Karen Ashforth. Hi, Karen, who is a certified lymphedema therapist and brilliant. She can answer your questions about so many things, but she's particularly an expert in pneumatic compression, as well as fibrosis and other things, plus an amazing human being who I adore. Susan O'Hara, legs like mine. She is an author. She is a footwear designer. She is an advocate for the lipedema community. We're so happy to have you with us, Susan.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
From New York City.
New York.
New York, New York. Everybody's saying hello. Come on, let us know you're here in chat. We want to know who's in the house tonight. Of course, we have Linda Ann Kahn, who has a happy birthday backdrop because she and the rest of the lipedema team had these flowers waiting for me. I turned 60 on Saturday. I'm going to savor 60. Any advice for turning a big number? I will welcome it. So that's what's happening in my world. And thank you, Linda Ann, and thank you, all of you. I just love you so much. And well, there you are, Pattie Cornude. I was wondering where you were tonight. You look stunning, and everybody, like, Hollywood, Mr. DeMille, you're ready for your close-ups tonight. You're looking amazing. Quick introductions for those of you who may be new and don't know our crew: Susie Beauchamp, lipedema.living, Jenny Bougine, lipedema and food sensitivities, the Lippy Butterfly, flying into our hearts every month, Linda Ann Kahn, of course, who is brilliant in all things. I mean, right now, just ask her anything about fascia. She will have an answer for you, and she's always studying and learning. We already introduced Karen Ashforth, Susan, Pale Ginger Pear, who just got a promotion. So we are applauding her new job, which is fantastic. She's going to crush it. And of course, Pattie Cornude. And you know what? I'm going to start with you because you're sweet enough to mention the fact that I have a birthday, but you're celebrating a big landmark, Pattie.
10 years of lipedema fitness. Crazy, crazy stuff.
That's awesome. So 10 years ago, what could you have never predicted that you now are seeing?
I didn't know that anybody would join me because in the other groups, talking about fitness back then wasn't what we were supposed to be doing. And it's just been amazing. This community, I think we're like 11,500 members in our private little group, and I adore them, and I love just the support they give everybody that comes in. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, you know why it's amazing? Everything rises and falls on leadership, and you have been a passionate and protective leader. You don't allow any BS in your group. You keep it a safe space for everyone. And that's actually what we always hope that these monthly lipedema roundtables bring to all of you: a safe place, a place where you can find encouragement. What do you want to say to your lipedema fitness people who are some of our most loyal attendees at the roundtable?
Thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you. You give me as much as I give to you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, I feel that. And yet we feel like we get so much from you. So, plus you're fun, Pattie Cornude, you and your rock and roll Peloton rides and your steampunk, whatever you got going. You are so, the thing about Pattie Cornude is she is every much the artist and every much the fitness person. Pattie, Casey Grosvenor said it well in chat. Pattie, you are so, so amazing. Congratulations from everyone. And I see Cynthia Mason out there, and Sue Kaminsky, and Natasha Wall, and Alexis McKay, and Amanda Hadaway, and Mary Herzog, and oh my, we've got such a great crew tonight. Where do we begin? Okay. We had a question come in from the audience, and I'm going to put it out to our medical experts first. which is about traveling. It's summertime, and sometimes the traveling ain't easy. I'm so sorry. Every now and then I just have to sing. Lippy Butterfly, you should be the singer always and never me. But traveling, now, what's great about the Lympha press is oftentimes you can travel with your pump. I know Kara has done it. I know Pattie Cornute has done it. Jenny, you've done it as well. But if you can't travel with your pump, what can you do to mitigate some of the impacts of travel? And I'll yield to you first, Karen Ashforth, and then everybody. If you want to talk, just go like this and I will call on you.
So I will say the very best way to decongest your body, even better than Lympha press, and I hate to say this, but getting underwater is the very, very best way. So if you can arrange your travel so that there's a pool or a lake or an ocean, and get into deep water and just walk around, because water has a natural gradient. And if you're standing up to your chest in water, then your feet have somewhere between, depending on how tall you are, between 80 to 100 millimeters of mercury pressure. And that compression continues up your body. It becomes less as you get closer to the surface. So that's why I don't recommend swimming, because swimming at the surface of the water is not going to give you the bang for your buck that getting into deep water does. Now, another alternative, if you can't do that, is to at least get into a bathtub, because every bathtub is going to be at least a foot deep, and that's 22.5 millimeters of mercury at the bottom of the tub. So for every foot of water, 22.5 millimeters of mercury. So that is my big recommendation with traveling. And I know Susan has a lot of information about aquatic exercise. She literally wrote the book on it. So I'd love to toss this over to Susan to talk about.
Yeah, and I see Pattie nodding as well, and Susie had her hand raised. So we'll do Susan, Pattie, Susie, go ahead.
Okay, that sounds great. So yeah, I try and get in the water as soon as I can. And if I can't get in water for whatever reason, like right now I'm in a hotel room that the hotel doesn't have a pool and there's no bathtub, right? So I go back to the old legs on the wall and the dead cat shake, which I'm sure we've heard Dr. Herbst talked about before, where you put your legs up in the air and then you just shake them like a madman, right? And it really does help some of that lymphatic fluid flow down. And always, for me, I wear compression on an airplane, sometimes double compression on an airplane, get up and walk around, try and avoid salt, and drink lots and lots of water.
Lots and lots of water. Drinking it and being in it, that's really good stuff. And Susie, you agree. And Pattie, you did a post even recently about this yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, I get over the 10 years, we've gotten a lot of questions about like, what's the best exercise and how many times do you do it and what movements do you do? So I decided I was just going to put the top questions I get asked all into one graphic so that everything was on one little page. And I just had a bunch of people in the group asking this question, and it's what prompted me to write the post. But yeah, I am a huge fan of hotel rooms with pools and making sure you get in there as soon as I get off the airplane or the train or whatever it is. And then I bring a little handheld massager. I make sure I'm in my compression. I wear extra compression on the flights. Anything I can do to do that.
And our friend who asked the question is out there tonight, Mary Johnson. We're so glad that you're with us this evening. She has upper extremity lymphedema too. So let's talk about that as well. And I know many of you on the panel tonight have lower and upper extremity. So if you want to add anything to the discussion, our medical experts. And Susie, what were you going to say about traveling?
I mean, I was just going to say, I logged about 200,000 miles in flight travel between 2016 and 2019. And I thought that I was cured from my lipedema, from my surgeries. So I never wore compression. I sat next to the window. I didn't drink water because I didn't want to squeeze by people to go down to the bathroom. I didn't get up once during my flights, and I even ate salty foods, and literally I would be destroyed. So when I realized I still had lymphedema, like, because I have not just lipedema, but also lymphedema. I Googled what you're supposed to do, and I was literally everything you're not supposed to do when you travel, and the risk of DVT and blood clots is super, super high. So I mean, honestly, you guys already said it. I didn't even think about the bathtub thing. That was genius, but also hydrating, electrolytes. Don't go for just the salty snacks. And honestly, the main thing that actually kept my swelling down when I still wasn't thinking with compression was not eating any sugar, grains, or starches when I traveled. It's the weirdest thing, but it was such a game changer for me. Like that little dessert, those little Biscoff cookies that they give you that are so delicious, I just would say no. And it was a life changer. So that's the other thing that I would say.
Excellent. PGP, did you want to add something to this?
I mean, I do what they talk about. I try to book a hotel with water, with a pool. I do the legs up on like the headboard of the bed or the wall. I try to always ask for extra pillows and sleep with my legs propped up a little bit even. And just, you know, I make sure that my compression is freshly washed before I put it on for travel, so it is at its tightest, not like compression I've worn for a couple days already or rotated and worn a couple times. I make sure all my compression is freshly washed, as tight as possible. I'll make sure to wear shoes that tie if I can get them on, because then it helps with compression on the feet and doesn't allow my feet to swell. Because if I let my feet swell, then it's just a downward spiral of feeling miserable, because then you can't walk and move the other fluid if your feet are hurting. So I try to use like my tennis shoes that I can tie real tight and keep that fluid moving.
This is a perfect segue to the footwear discussion, and I want to go there, but any final thoughts also about the upper extremity? Karen Ashforth, the pool, just being in, you know, submerged, you can do those same exercises, upper extremity, correct?
Absolutely.
Good. All
And when
right.
you do the dead cat, it's arms up and legs up, and you look pretty ridiculous, but it's both. In case somebody doesn't know.
Yes. So we have new people are like, what's the dead cat? So explain it for us, Susie.
Oh, okay. Well,
Or you just showed us, but
I learned it from Dr. Karen Herbst, but she was talking about just the importance of moving lymph no matter what your situation is. And it's something you can do for free and you can do anywhere. But basically, you lay down on your back like I did, arms up in the air, legs up in the air, and you literally are just, I don't know why it's called the dead cat thing. I don't know. But it's, anyway, that's what it's called. So then
right,
you just,
dead cats don't move. But
no.
yeah.
But they do have their arms and legs, you know, they, you know, in the terrible
Yeah, we won't go
cartoons
there.
world,
Yeah.
whatever. But arms and legs straight up in the air, and like, and then the wiggling is super important. This actually saved my life post surgery on my arms. I have never been in so much pain where I thought something was wrong. And then I'm like on the thing, this is day after my surgery, and they were like, you need to move your arms. And I was like, what? So then I was like, okay. And I was like, ow, ow. And I was like this. And I was like, oh my God. And it was so weird because the pain was so intense, and I have a pretty high pain tolerance. So there you go.
You know, and there is something too, when you're in pain, even that's why so many people love the Lympha press too, because the squeeze helps to minimize that feeling of pain. And I love the whole pool conversation, because there is this faulty school of thought that says, you know, well, high pressures are bad. Sorry, if you're going in a swimming pool and you're getting up to 100 millimeters of mercury, why would you say that you can't pump in higher pressures? Obviously, do what your doctor tells you to do, for sure, but it sort of debunks the myth that higher pressures are bad for you. So footwear. Oh, go ahead, Karen, and then let's do footwear, Susan.
Before we move on, I want to just say just a couple of quick cautions. So if you do go into a pool, especially a strange pool, it's a good idea to have some water shoes or water socks that protect your feet in case it's kind of a rough surface. And you never want to go barefoot in a locker room. You would want to wear flip-flops or those same water shoes so that you don't have bare feet on the tile floor. You don't want to pick up fungus. The other thing that I recommend to all of my patients who have any kind of swelling is just to do a quick skin inspection after you get out of the pool, and just make sure there aren't any scrapes or scratches or sores or anything. And if there are, just take that little tube of antibiotic ointment that you always travel with and dab a little bit on prophylactically, because that's just a real good way to prevent any problems from occurring as a result of being in a public pool. I want to also say that hot tubs can be helpful if they are not super hot. And if you have a hot tub, you can experiment with the amount of temperature that you set it to. I have some people that do fine at body temperature, like around 99. Some people can go up to 100, but it's the kind of individual thing where, even a hot tub will give you enough depth to help out, but you might want to be really careful if you go to a public hot tub that is set at a real high temperature. So I just wanted to say those things real quick. Thank you.
We're glad. We love when you insert tidbits of wisdom for us, because we need it. Now, this is the Lipedema Patient Roundtable. And the one thing that I have learned over these last 3 years is you may have lipedema, but lipedema doesn't have to have you. And living life fully. I love seeing PGP in her amazing outfits. I love seeing the Lippy Butterfly singing in church, and everybody doing their active things, their creative things. And one of the most creative and exciting ventures is what you've got going on with footwear, Susan. So let's talk about that.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to talk about it. So it's actually a collaboration between myself and a lot of ladies that have lipedema. So over the last couple of years, we've done focus groups with ladies who have problems finding footwear because we tend to be wearing the wrong size shoe. It turns out if we swell, we kind of get deep like this. And so we buy a longer shoe or a wider shoe thinking that we were doing the right thing, but turns out we just need a deeper shoe. And we need lots of stability, and we need, a comfortable piece of footwear that's going to last a long time. And I just couldn't find anything on the market. I wear a size 13 wide. It's probably really a 12 wide though, right? So I really couldn't find shoes. And as my feet were swelling, as my lymphedema progressed in my left leg specifically, I just couldn't find shoes. Pandaire's out there, and I think, Kara, you wear some of the Pandaire shoes as well. They don't make my size, and I don't care for some of their styles have a lot of straps on them that they kind of squeeze me in the wrong places. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to make them. So all these ladies got together and they gave me their measurements from all the way from the end of their toe up to their calves. And I have ladies in England who are all a size 8, but they all have different stages of lipedema that are my fit testers. And we've been working for a long time to come up with our first round of shoes. So in the fall, we'll have loafers that come out that are multi-occasion shoes. So you can change out some ornaments on the top so you can wear them to a wedding or whatever. And then calf boots that start at 23 inches calf circumference and go up from there. And they're adaptable and adjustable to fit ladies who have larger calves, larger ankles, deeper feet. I have thousands of women lined up for these shoes. It's really something that's needed to be like disrupting the industry for a long time. And I think it's going to help a lot of people feel good about themselves. So I'm in New York right now because I'm picking out pink leather and blue leather and orange leather and patterns and stuff for the spring collection that's going to be coming out next.
I heard you say metallic and animal prints.
Yes. I've got a zebra. So my design team's all in the UK and they call it zebra, but I have a zebra print out there that's going to be coming out in the loafers for all of my hypermobile ladies like me too. So because that's the zebra is our representative animal. So I'm super excited about it. It's been a ton of work, but it is going to help so many people. I just can't wait.
Oh, and inspire so many people. So here's what we know about you. You get an idea and you make it happen. So how can we follow, aside from social media, is there a place where people can begin to pre-order or follow this progress? Because shoe shopping is, it's a love-hate relationship, right? Mm-hmm. But some people said in chat, shoes, but if they have fun options to choose from, so how can we follow?
Right. So legslikemine.com is where I've been blogging all of my progress, and then all of my socials. I have the whole gamut of socials, including now the Threads feature on Instagram, right? I've started doing that as well. And the progress has been so slow, but now all of a sudden the snowball is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And
Nice.
so at midnight, I have a meeting with the manufacturer because the samples are coming off the line right now too. So super excited. Just follow me on legslikemine.com and you can, follow along. And when they're ready to sell, we'll have them out there pretty soon.
That's so much fun. Okay, well, we'll have you back when you have stuff to show us. We're into
absolutely.
that big time. We have some questions that are in the Q&A. And if you are putting questions in the chat, it may not be raised. So please do put your questions in the Q&A. I want to do also a shout out to Nita Cluis, who comes to almost every roundtable, supports us, posts and promotes the roundtable because she promotes people and is a great advocate. So Nita, just special love to you tonight. We appreciate you. All right, Teddy Bradford wants to know, what is your recommendation for night garments? She's been wrapping since early spring and she's ready for a break from the bandages. Linda Ann Kahn, do you have anything you want to say about night garments?
There we go. I don't know if Teddy has lymphedema as well, but typically, I don't know what Karen does, but I don't typically have my lipedema patients in night garments. But I like the Solaris night garment because it's light, it's soft. You can turn it inside out to put it on. It's easy to get on. But if there's lymphedema, then yes, you would use night garments. So that's one that I like a lot.
And Kara, go ahead.
So I've used a variety of night garments. I originally had Jope's night garments. I think it was Jope's Relax is what I think they're called. They are pricey. They're like $450 a leg because they come as like separate leg or arm pieces. That was a few years ago. I don't know if they've gone down or if they've gone up. I've used the Circade Profile night garments. They're real cushiony, like a pillow. They look like they wouldn't do anything, but they did more than the Jope's Relax did for me. They have like channels of sewn in foam like blocks, and they like help move them. I've used the legs and arms on that one. And then also one of my go-to before any surgeries was the Circade Justifix wrapping Velcro systems, because you could adjust how tight you did the Velcro so you could loosen it for like at nighttime. Also, I sleep a lot of times in the BioFlex lighter compression leggings or arm garment that are off of Amazon. It's a cheaper product and it's lighter weight, it's thinner. It does have the massaging feature that we kind of talked about last month in them. But I will sleep in those because they're not as compressive as like my lipoelastic compression.
Mm-hmm. I see lots of nodding. And Karen, I definitely want to defer to you on this question as well.
Well, Linda Ann and Kara, you've both mentioned a lot of really great options. And what I'd love to add to that is that the amount of compression you get with these quilted garments is totally dependent on the fit of the garment, but even more important, what you put on top of it. And a lot of these garments come with elastic sleeves, which will snug it in a little bit, but you can also use Velcro systems that snug it in even more. You can use a bandage and just spiral wrap it around the garment. Or a fast and go. There's all sorts of things. And I don't know if people know about my favorite use for the night garments, which is under a pump, because you get a double massage. And it is a great thing for dealing with fibrosis, which is one of my passions. And I think that it gives the pump treatment an even more effective time to really get in there and massage those tissues. So those are my thoughts.
We have a lot of I see new names, which really excites my heart, which means that we're here and we are meeting a need for people that are just learning about lipedema. Maybe they're not familiar with the term fibrosis. Now, we know that lymphedema and lipedema are two different conditions, but often one has the other. How would you explain fibrosis and how it presents in lipedema patients, Karen?
I love answering that question. So a lot of patients that have lipedema often have lymphedema, and there can be different types of fibrosis in both conditions. So let's just say you have lipedema without any swelling. By definition, that lipedema fat is a form of fibrosis. The subcutaneous adipose tissue that is inflamed is different from regular body fat. And then there's nodules, which are quite common in different fat disorders. And then on top of that, there's the whole spectrum of fibrosis that can occur with lymphedema. Now, I'm going to circle back to the definition of fibrosis. Fibrosis is when you have tissue that is denser and harder than normal. That's it. So it could be a scar. It could be from a cellulitis infection. That's a horrible type of fibrosis. It's like someone, shoots a staple gun through your arm or your leg or whatever part of your body had the infection, because it can become very gluey and harden more and more and more over time. Don't get me started. There's many different types. And I have a lot of information at my website, karenashforth.com. I've written some great articles. The Lympha Press website has a lot of webinars and articles that I've written. So if you're interested, if you think that you might have fibrosis and you want to deal with it, knowledge is power. So find out about it. But that's why I love that discussion that we just had about the night garments. And they can be so helpful for dealing with hard fibrosis. And if I use the combination of a quilted garment and Lympha Press together, I've seen tissues that start out like wood or stone turn into butter. So there's so much hope. There's so much that can be done. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
And these are very skilled panelists that we have here. But when you said that double whammy idea, there was like, wait, what? You mean I can do it with my Lympha Press? That is amazing. Price of admission was worth it, just even for that nugget of truth. We've got so many questions coming in, and also I want to address some other things, because we don't just talk about the condition physically and how it affects us, but also emotionally and how we navigate challenges. And, tonight before we went live, we were talking to Lippy Butterfly, and tonight was a first for her. Tell everybody what your first was, Lippy.
Okay, so I think, what are we on? We're on 3 years of doing the roundtable now. And this is my very first roundtable in an empty house. My caregiver moved out as of Monday, and actually getting ready and all of that today was a whole by myself experience that I haven't had to do in the entire time that I came home since 2019. So I'm excited about the new first, but it's also pretty scary. I think a lot of Lippy ladies maybe have had like some falls, and some mobility issues. Of course, they run rampant through our community. So it's kind of scary, like when you're not sure about your next steps, like your literal next steps, what you're going to do in life as far as your next steps. But as we were talking about before the show, like all of these things, they work together to help us get stronger. So like, I'm excited about the challenge, even though it's super scary. But this journey of becoming independent while still fighting against lipedema, that ends up being one of the challenges. Sometimes we need a little bit of help. Sometimes that help goes away, and we've got to figure out how to live life brand new again.
We're so proud of you, and everybody in chat is also saying how proud they are. And, sometimes you think I can't until you must. And then you lean into that thing that you didn't think you could do, and next thing you know, you've mastered it. So we know that it's just the first of many steps for you, our friend. It's as Nita says, a magnificent milestone, and we are cheering you on. So let's go to some questions here, because I cannot believe we are at the halfway point, because we got too much to talk about here, and it's exciting. Okay, so let's talk about infrared sauna blankets, because we talked about how hot tubs, when they're too hot, can exacerbate the condition. Cynthia Mason wants to know about infrared sauna blankets, and if they are helpful. They do make the body sweat for detox and muscle recovery purposes, and she was thinking about getting one if they are helpful. Now, I did see some stuff in chat that I just want to say. If you don't know our ground rules, we want you to know that we respect every person and how they choose to manage their condition. There are no magic bullets. There are no mysterious or magical fixes for every person. We offer suggestions. We do not offer medical advice here on the roundtable, but these are people that are managing their condition effectively, and what may be working for one person is completely different for another. And it's all good, and it's all okay. So those are sort of the ground rules from which we operate here at the roundtable. But far infrared blankets, anybody here use them? Oh, Linda Ann, why don't you jump in?
Well, we have infrared blanket in my clinic, and it is fantastic to detoxify. It's wonderful in the winter to keep you warm. We do a lot of body treatments with that. However, with lipedema, and my lymphedema patients, I would not let them go in. With lipedema, it just depends what stage you are. Do you have lymphedema? How do you feel? It can be very nurturing, but it could be too much heat. I have an infrared sauna in my clinic. I don't go in it, I swell. So I think, as you said, everybody is different, and it could be really good, but it might not be. And in terms of getting into the infrared sauna for lipedema, you also have to be very careful and monitor to see, are you swelling once you've been in it? Because it does feel wonderful, but is it good for your body?
So listen to your body and how it is responding and reacting to whatever you are trying. Excellent. Good advice. Anybody else on infrared blankets? I think you nailed it, Linda Ann. Thank you so much for that advice. By the way, Diane Hayes wants to know how to follow all of you on your social accounts. So if you can put in chat how the best way for people to follow you, either on Facebook or Instagram. Those are two of the main ones. Of course, it seems like every time we turn around, there's a new one that I have to learn, which is pretty fascinating. So Diane, we will have our wonderful panelists put how you can follow them in the chat. So lymph transfer. Now, Mary Johnson, this is a lipedema roundtable. That might be a better question for the lymphedema roundtable. But has anyone here had surgery for lymph transfer? It's super microvascular surgery. So I say probably a better question for the lymphedema patient roundtable, which, by the way, if any of you have lymphedema, we do a roundtable too. I'm not at it, but Alexa Ercolano is. She hosts it beautifully. Karen Ashforth is often there as well. It is the second Tuesday of every month. You can go to the Lympha Press link tree and sign up for that, just as you do for our lipedema roundtables. Okay, go ahead, Linda Ann.
And I have worked with patients who have had lymph node transfer, not for lipedema, but for lymphedema. And the doctors all work differently. They take the node out from different places. They implant it in different places. Some I've had great success. Others, I'm working with someone that's not so great. So,
okay, very good. Amanda Hadaway, we're so glad you're out there tonight. She has a question for Karen, going back to compression with pumps. This was a buzzworthy topic, Karen. And does it need to be quilted foam garments, or can it just be her regular 30 to 40 compression thigh highs?
Oh, I love that question. Well, The thing about using a pump over elastic compression is you want to make sure that it's not bunching up at your ankle or behind your knee, because it could actually cause irritation and even breakdown. So I know that the manufacturer recommends that you wear it over soft clothing and you take your compression garments off, but sometimes people just don't have time to do that. So my feeling is that as long as you're not getting bunching at those areas, it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Pattie.
I would just suggest maybe trying it at a shorter time frame to make sure, because I tried it with my BioFlex and it was not good for me. And I was trying to shut it off, and yeah, I would say maybe start with a shorter time frame and just see how it does.
Good. Hey, Pattie. Sorry. Hey, I just heard my third grade teacher just say, "Hay is for horses, Brenda. Don't just say hey to people." You've done some real interesting work on fascia, and you've been learning a lot about it. I know that is, Linda Ann's already smiling. She is an expert on it. Let's talk fascia for a little bit before we get into some more questions. What are you learning, Pattie? And jump on in, Linda Ann.
So I found a fascial fitness trainer certification course and had no idea if I qualified to even take the course, but I was so wanting to learn more. And the book, the coursework, was a book I had already bought and called Fascial Fitness. And I had read the book, was like, I would love to figure out this. So I emailed the Fascial Academy that puts on this training, and I was like, here's my story. And they're like, absolutely, you should sign up. And so it's an 8-week course. I'm in week 7 right now. I'm really sad that it's ending, but it's been a huge shift, not only in the massive amounts that I'm learning, but in my understanding of myself. Like when I first started, I was very apprehensive and I'm not qualified. I'm not a trainer. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm not all this stuff. And the very first class, the instructor says, this course is for young, healthy bodies. And I was like, I'm looking for modifications. I'm the queen of modifications. So I was like, just distraught. And my group lifted me up by the bootstraps and was like, you keep fighting. You don't know what you're going to bring to them, what you're going to learn. It's really important. And my husband was the same. And I said, all right, I'm going to go to the next class. And the next class was with Robert Schleep, who is big in the fascial world. And he wrote the book that the course was framed after. And when I asked a question and mentioned lipedema, he got this huge smile on his face, and he knew exactly what it was. He was so excited that I was there. He was telling the other people being trained to talk to me because they were going to have patients in their, life coming into them and talking to them, and how wonderful it would be to learn about modifications. And it ended up being that I looked at what they were teaching us, and instead of looking to them for modifications, I realized I'm there to learn their expertise, and I'm the expert in lipedema and my body, and I will be the one to come up with the modifications that work for me. And it was like such a switch, and just elevated my whole travel, like what journey I'm on. I'm just so excited for it all.
Love that. Wonderful. Linda Ann, I bet you're applauding as well.
Well, the fascia is so important. And we're told to drink a lot of water. Well, it turns out you really need water for the fascia, because if the fascia are not hydrated, you will just get stiffer and stiffer. And Karen was talking about fibrosis in the tissue, and then there's the fascia. So if you've got the fibrosis plus the fascia tightening, you've got a perfect storm over there. I've been studying the John Barnes method, and with John Barnes, and I'll be in Boston in August doing another class. So I've been incorporating this into my clients, and it's amazing because you can do a fascial release with clients, but it's a hold. Sometimes we're holding for 10 minutes, but it's usually in that last 3 minutes that the magic starts to happen and everything just melts. So Pattie, I'd love to talk to you more about what you're doing. I have Robert Schlepp's book, the Fascial Fitness, and I'm going to be in Germany, in Berlin, at the World Conference, and I'm spending one extra day in Berlin because I want to go and see Freya, which was the plastinate model that they did to show the fascia.
Wow.
And she's beautiful.
And my
Wow.
teacher that I did the cadaver workshop with was part of that, creating this Freya and doing dissections. So I'm really excited.
Well, that is exciting. And, you know, every time you show up to the roundtable, we learn something new, Linda Ann, because you're always learning something new, which is marvelous for all of us. I see some stuff in chat about using your Lympha press and maybe having some issues with zippers or things like that. I strongly encourage you, because we can't troubleshoot over the roundtable tonight, but we really care. And your rep's phone number should be right on your pump. If you're having issues, we want to take care of them because we want you pumping, because we want you managing your condition. So please do contact your rep, whose phone number is right on your pump, and they will help address whatever issues you might be having. There's also a question about a restore facility, you know, and that is one brand name. There are many, most cities have some sort of a recovery or a workout recovery facility where you can go and you can literally use different modalities, including pneumatic compression, but often it is not necessarily medical grade, or we just want to caution that particularly when we're talking about Lympha press, it is a device that is a medical grade device that you need a prescription from a doctor to use. So I would never recommend, and please back me up on this or tell me if I'm wrong, Karen or Linda, but don't just try it out without a doctor guiding you or a therapist guiding you to do so, because it is a medical grade equipment. So while there are facilities that may offer it, especially athletes recovering, I know there are different brands of pneumatic compression for that. When you have a medical condition, you really want to use pneumatic compression therapy under the guidance of a medical professional. Correct, Karen, Linda?
And to use the right medical compression pump, because I have patients ask me, what about this? What about that? Well, how many compartments are there? Is it doing a pneumatic compression? You know, is it working slowly in the chambers? And most of them are not. So they need to have Lympha press.
Good. Well, we thank you for saying that. And we know, listen,
really, yeah.
I always say this, and for those of you who don't know me, Lympha press was indicated by the FDA to treat lipedema, okay? But I was not going to vocally go out there and promote it unless I knew it worked. And we did trials with patients who had great results and reduced pain and increased mobility. So I stand behind it. I no longer work full-time for Lympha press, but I am completely committed to the lipedema patient population. And this is one of the joys of my life, hosting this roundtable, to get all of this wisdom together every month and to encourage and uplift all of you. So thank you for saying that, Linda. I appreciate it. And I know Lympha press appreciates it too. Has anybody heard about, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, anodyne therapy?
So it's a form of infrared light, and it can cause heat. So I would just be cautious. I mean, there's different types.
Okay. Be cautious. Excellent. And listen to your body and how it responds. Okay. Danielle Krim, we love this question. In fact, this is heart-worthy. Sending you hearts, Danielle Krim. She knows she has lymphedema. She suspects that she had lipedema her entire life and didn't know it. Who should she see to be formally diagnosed, and what sort of testing should she advocate for? Great. We love this question. Who wants to answer? Karen, I see your face. Go for it.
Well, I would refer you to the Lipedema Foundation, because they have all kinds of amazing resources about diagnosing lipedema. And I will tell you that most doctors have never heard of lipedema. So you might have to travel to find someone who knows anything. And what I love about the Lipedema Foundation, and I'll drop that website into the chat so that you have that, is they have resources that you can take with you to your doctor. And they have brochures that you can print out that are full color that you can take to your doctor and say, hey, I look like this. And I have encouraged more patients to successfully get a diagnosis from someone who knows nothing about lipedema by educating them with this information, because the chances of having someone who is knowledgeable in your area, I'm just going to say it, are pretty slim. Unless you want to go see Dr. Herbst or go see Dr. Eicher. I mean, there are not a lot of doctors out there that can knowledgeably give you a good diagnosis. So that's my 2 cents.
We really appreciate those 2 cents. And I'm trying to keep up with what's happening in chat here. We also are big advocates of the standard of care for lipedema in the United States. You can download that from the Lympha Press website. It is an open source publication, so you can download it from almost anywhere. And walking that into a doctor, because it outlines the different modalities that are considered the standard for your care in the United States. Staying in touch with all of these groups, of course, is very encouraging. And Jen Sefton says, we don't have a standard of care in Canada, and we feel for you for that, but use ours in the meantime. Linda Ann's nodding, so that must be good. And how do we get that in Canada? You know, Linda Ann, you were part of the team that created the standard of care. So what it was is a leader pulling together other leaders and creating this document. And it was, how long did it take, Linda Ann?
It was over 2 years. We met at the FDRS conference for a day and a half. And then we broke up into groups. Karen, you were on our team, right?
Well, I joined late to the party.
Okay. And then we got into groups. So it was the therapists and then the doctors and then the researchers and then the vascular surgeons. And then afterwards we met on Zoom. There was no Zoom at the time. We were doing phone calls for a long time afterwards. And then we all got together again. The information was pooled. It was definitely a consensus.
Yeah.
Unlike something else that's gone on in Europe. There wasn't a consensus.
You know, and that's another, we could do another whole show just on that, but we are very glad that there is a standard of care in the United States. And by the way, I must mention this. I had sort of hoped that she would be here tonight, but when we first started the roundtables, everybody was like, I want to see Dr. Herbst. How can I see Dr. Herbst? And we didn't have a place to direct them to. But Dr. Herbst is open for business. She is seeing patients and she can see you remotely. So please do, what we'll do is when we follow up with all of you, we always send an email to anybody who is registered. We will give you contact. I don't have it right off the top of my head here, but you can reach out to her and see her and she will diagnose you and help connect you with the care you need.
Can I just say something about
go ahead.
diagnosis? There is no blood test or diagnosis at this time. To diagnose lipedema is completely clinical. And, you know, that needs to change. I'm hoping maybe one day with the InDesign in green or other images, we would be able to. So right now, it's a clinical diagnosis looking at inflammatory markers, CH50, interleukin, not interleukin, CRP and things like that. So,
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Excellent. Bug bites. It is summertime and sometimes we get a bug bite. What's the best way to deal with bug bites on lippy limbs? Swelling and itching doesn't stop with antibiotic cream, says Shelley Carter. Anybody have interesting anecdotes? I see nodding. Go ahead, Karen.
So ammonia, because ammonia neutralizes the formic acid in bug bites. And it's great. I mean, you just use regular household ammonia. And there is an actual product called Afterbite that used to have ammonium hydroxide, but they've changed the formula and it doesn't work as well. So I was traveling, actually, I was in Arizona in May, and I got this horrible bug bite. And I just went to the grocery store and got some ammonia, and you just keep dabbing it on and it soothes it.
And then essential oil of lavender,
Hmm.
and you can put that in some aloe vera. It's amazing for bug bites. It's calming, it's soothing, it's anti-inflammatory.
Angelique, your face was priceless. What was your face doing that for?
I caught Susie taking a picture of something in her backyard.
So it had nothing to do with bug bites or ammonia.
It didn't. And I was on when she said she was in May, in Arizona in May. I got through the ammonia, and then like all of a sudden I caught a glimpse of Susie just chilling. And sorry.
Okay. Well, there you go. This is what even the host and moderator can miss during a live. Thank you. Now I'm up to speed. I'm going to have to watch the tape to laugh at whatever Susie did. See, let me get in a few more quick questions. Then I want everybody to leave our audience with some words of encouragement or something that they learned that inspired them this past month. Okay. But CRP, will lipedema increase CRP numbers, and does lipedema cause high CRP? Jewel Dukes, Jennifer Jones, they're both on the same page. CRP, thoughts? Linda Ann.
Yeah, C-reactive protein, usually those inflammatory markers are high, and that is high with lipedema. And I have a friend whose CRP was 35. She actually was even a teacher of lymphatic. And then she went on to an anti-inflammatory diet. It went down to 22. Then she went on to a plant-based diet, and she's now at 5 CRP. And she has stage 3 lipedema.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's tremendous.
Now I'm
Okay.
talking over quite a number of years.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So that just goes to show, because we've had a lot of people in chat talking about the carnivore diet. We've had people talk about keto in the past, and now plant-based diet, and look at those results. It's not one size fits all. That's for sure. Okay. Sandy Darley, we feel for you and we appreciate you so much. You are here for almost every roundtable, and she is low vision / blind. And she says following people on social is really hard for her. She would love to communicate by phone. Is there any suggestions for someone? I know that one of our other regular attendees, Carol Moody, also has some challenges that way. Any advice for Sandy Darley? She also gave her phone number in case anybody wants to call her, which, you know, we're not going to give that out to the world, Sandy, because, you know, we respect your privacy, but just listening to audio recordings can be really helpful. And I know on our Lympha Press website, we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of interviews and webinars and other offerings like that to encourage you and keep you uplifted. And we're just so glad that you come to the roundtables every month. Okay, go ahead, Angelique, and then Pattie.
I think honestly, just voicing that you would like to talk to somebody is the first step to starting your own personal community. Like, I think it's really important that we have our circles of people that we talk to. And I know that there's a ton of ladies out there in the lipedema community that simply don't like social media. They don't like using text message. And there are tons of people that I'm sure would love to talk on the phone or do Zoom conferences like this. So for any of the ladies that are feeling somewhat alone or like they're by themselves throughout this journey, I think that it's really important for us to just say like, hey, I need a friend in this moment. Does anybody have next Wednesday open to have like a little phone chat or something like that? But what I've learned about this community is that we like each other. We love each other. We understand what each other are going through. And having low vision is just one of the things that happens in our community. You've got other ladies who are not able to leave their houses. Other ladies who are not able to comb their hair. Just there's a lot of different levels of things that people are going through, but there are people that need people. We need each other. So I think saying, hey, I need somebody, is somebody available to talk is really the first step.
You know what? you just supersized the answer. That was a great answer, Angelique, and I appreciate you sharing that. And by the way, if anybody in chat would like to connect with Sandy Darley after the show, this is, the monthly meeting is a springboard. We hope and we know you are all very active in continuing your conversations all around the place. But yeah, not being afraid to say, hey, I could use a buddy and I could use a phone call. That's beautiful. Pattie, you wanted to say something.
I was going to suggest trying to hook up Carol Moody and Sandy together, and maybe they could, communicate with each other, since they're both sharing that other part as well. And there are so many lipedema podcasts that are coming out to the surface that I would highly suggest checking out. And I think April Sluter has been doing a Friday chat. So looking at the lipedema journey, she runs that group, which is really a wonderful group.
Wonderful.
And she does a lot of things like that.
And we just made a match because Carol Moody just said in chat that she wants to get together with Sandy. So we hope you'll be very happy together. And Sandy, if you can grab Carol's number in chat, I got all the warm and fuzzies. That is so wonderful. I know, right? Okay. Anybody else want to say anything on this topic? Because we got 5 minutes left.
Well, the lipedema mamas have been doing wonderful podcasts, so you can listen to those on Instagram.
Wonderful. Yes. And Susan.
Right. So a lot of us too that have the big social media accounts have YouTube channels, and we also are doing a lot more reels. Like Kara's doing a lot more reels. I'm doing a lot more reels where we actually speak, even if it's just short bursts of information. So I've been trying to be more cognizant about, like, if I'm posting it on Facebook or something else that's written, that I'm also doing the reel. My husband also is just almost blind, and so he's been doing a lot more YouTube type stuff lately too, and that really helps him stay involved whenever he wants to be a part of something but can't see the screen.
Wow, I had no idea, and thank you for sharing that, Susan. That's beautiful. We have a brand new person out there, Saverian. I think that's how I pronounce your name, and it was her first roundtable tonight, and she's really happy. And you know what? We're really happy you're here. We're really happy you're all here. We have 64 people that joined us tonight, which is a great number. And we look forward to the day where we have 664 joining us. Invite your friends. Every month we are here. Final words of encouragement. Let me start, because I'm the birthday girl. And at FDRS, I gave a speech called Settling Your Self-Worth. And I felt led to do it as a birthday present to everybody who wasn't at FDRS. And so I'm doing it. It's actually tomorrow morning, and then I'm doing it again tomorrow night. Some of you have registered, but I'm putting in the chat, the link tree. If you register tonight, you can be there tomorrow. It's a 1-hour webinar. I'll be talking from my home and from my heart. And I would love to encourage you, because whether you have lipedema or not, settling your self-worth and knowing your worth, because you are worthy and wonderful and special and loved. That's foundational. So I hope that you'll join me for that. Okay, words of encouragement. Susie Boshoff, kick it off.
Oh, man. The main thing that I just wanted to say is, I don't know, somebody posted me earlier and it inspired me, and I'm just going to say it. If you walk away from a conversation or you're in a group and somebody makes you feel smaller or less able to communicate or concerned about your goals and dreams or second guessing yourself, feel free to go ahead and nix them from your connections as quickly and ruthlessly as possible. I mean, one time fine, but if you find that that's the norm, just cut them loose, because you are awesome and you deserve to be seen accordingly. And my mama bear instincts come out every time I hear about that. So I just felt inspired to say something on that line.
Perfect. I love it. When you know your worth, you set boundaries.
That's right.
And it's not wrong to put up those walls when people are toxic or when they bring you down. Never associate with someone that questions your worth or causes you to question your own worth. Good one, Susie. What about you, Pattie? What do you want to leave our audience with tonight?
You are your own best resource. You know yourself better than anybody else. and you will try things and figure out if they work or they don't work. So when you hear those people saying, this is the thing you need to do, take it with a grain of salt, try it for yourself and see how you respond.
Fantastic. Jenny Bogine.
I would say this month for me has been that reminder to don't stay at home, go out and do the thing. You may not think you can anymore, but you can. You know, I used to go on a sailing schooner every year, and I kind of stopped doing that for a couple of years because I was worried that with my mobility getting less and less that I wouldn't be able to do it. Well, damn it, I did it. And it was fun. And the nice young gentlemen, very muscular, were glad to help lift me over and on. You know, when I needed an extra pull, they got me on. So do the thing. Life is too short to not do the thing.
Do the thing. And then you can say, well, damn it, I did it. Just like Jenny Bogine did. Susan, what would you like to say?
Right. So what I want to say is that everybody has different gifts and unique gifts, and take advantage of your gift and do what you can in your life to help others and to help yourself. And comparison is the thief of joy. So if you see somebody else doing something crazy or amazing and you're like, wow, I can't do that, I'm not as good. That's not true. You have your own gifts. So use them and remember that you're awesome and wonderful too.
You just, that's like the first part of my whole webinar tomorrow. So yes, I fully agree. Awesome. PGP.
So mine would be wear the thing. If it's a bathing suit, if it's shorts, if it's a dress, wear it. I can guarantee you everybody's in their own head obsessing of how they look while they're out and about. They're not worried about what you're wearing. So wear what you want to wear. If it's the shorts, if it's the bathing suit, if it's the dress, if it shows the compression, it shows the compression. I mean, the new look now is for athletes to layer it under their shorts all the time. So wear it.
Do the thing, wear the thing, love it. Who am I missing? Did I not do you? I know I'm getting, you get the last word, Karen. Angelique.
Your current situation is not your future situation. What things look like right now is not what they're going to be. If you look at where I was at when we first started this roundtable, I think I was still homebound. I wasn't out doing anything. I wasn't in church. I wasn't singing on a regular basis. But that is not where I'm at today. And even though today has its own scary situations and mishaps and fumbles, it's not where I'm going to be tomorrow. So keep going.
Your current situation is not your future situation. I love it. Did we do you, Linda Ann?
Oh, no.
Oh my goodness. Let's. We're 2 minutes over, but you know what? We're going over. Go ahead.
So I'm working with a new patient who's 80 years old, and she said she's tired of this her whole life. She didn't know what was wrong with her. And now that she knows, she's going to do something about it. So I'm educating her, teaching her, preparing her for surgery, which she's having in October. It's never too late. No matter what stage you're at, there's always something that can be done. And she wants to live the rest of her life without any pain.
That is encouraging. As I embark on a big number for me, to know that there is an 80-year-old woman out there who is still running after her dream, it gives me inspiration to keep going. Karen Ashforth, what a joy to have you. Can we just give Karen Ashforth some love here? Such wisdom, such insight. We love your heart too. Thank you so much for being here. What would you like to leave our audience with tonight?
Well, I'm going to leave you with a little tease, and that is that I am so excited. This weekend, I'm going to buy my plane tickets to Germany because I'm going to be going along with Linda Ann to the Lipedema World Congress, but I am going to be presenting an abstract on an IRB study that I just completed using ultrasound cavitation and red light therapy to treat lipedema, subcutaneous adipose tissue. And I'll just give you a little glimmer of hope here that the women that I worked with lost an average of 3 to 6 centimeters in their thighs with treatment. And I can't give you much more information than that because I need to present this, and then Dr. Herbst and I are going to be doing this on a bigger scale this coming winter. I'm going to be at her clinic for 2.5 months, and we are going to rock this. So I am so excited about this project.
What excites us all is knowing that dedicated, brilliant people like you, like Linda Ann, like Dr. Herbst, are continuing to press forward. We, together, linking arms, are not giving up. We may be exhausted, but we are in hot pursuit. We're going to do the thing. We're going to wear the thing. And one of the words that has been really ringing in my heart is, our end will be better than our beginning. Our best days are ahead of us. I believe that for all of us. And on behalf of Lympha Press, what a joy and a privilege to share this evening with you. You are some of the best people anybody could spend an evening with. Thank you all, and have a great night. We'll see you next month with Dr. David Amron talking surgery with us. We'll see you next month, everybody. Take care.